So as I was reading this morning, I thought about making the right decisions. Making those right decisions, those hard decisions without overthinking. Because I think it's so easy for so much of us to have these big decisions in our lives, and the reasons why we don't make these decisions is because we're busy thinking about them instead of taking action. And I'm not saying it's bad to think, but overthinking, I believe, can just cause some confusion and an excuse to procrastinate and an excuse not to sit down and really deliberate all these very important aspects of whatever decision that you're making. So overthinking could really just mess you up in the long run. And this is why I said making the right decision first starts with consulting with God. And as I was reading this morning, I came across, it was James, I believe, 4:13 through 15. And it talks about, Lord willing, we make these plans that we will go to this certain city and we will buy and we will sell and we will trade and we will eat and we will drink, but only if the Lord wills it. It makes thinking and making these hard decisions so much easier when you really think about, man, if I wake up with no breath in my lungs, we're not doing anything here. So who do I have to thank for the breath in my lungs? And only you can really figure that out for yourself. But, I trust in God. So everything that I'm doing, I'm not saying I'm perfect at doing it, but I consult with him. I got into real estate. I consulted with him. I started making music over 10 years ago. I consulted with him. When I first got out of school, I was going to go into a sales job, and then I ended up working a landscaping business with my mom that she had already established. And I talked to God about all these things. And it wasn't like, he cracked open the sky like you're seeing here, this beautiful sky I'm looking at right now. And, the words just came in my head, or he spoke it out of the clouds. No, it wasn't anything like that, man. It was more intimate moments with him where I was reading his word. And, a lot of times we have these major decisions, but realistically, they're not major in their root. And what I mean by that is whatever you are contemplating and not able to figure out for yourself, they really are like not crazy things. At the end of the day, God placed these desires on our heart. He placed these loves, these passions, these things on our heart, and things that we were meant to do. When we know we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, there's a great feeling of being content, being fulfilled, and when we're not fulfilled and we're not content, we sometimes assume that there's something going wrong there. And that's where I believe it comes very important with your relationship with God to ask him to show you the answers, to show you what you should be deciding to choose. Because sometimes we just don't know, man, a lot of us are smart people, and we understand, the decisions that we need to make. We have a great, foundation of right and wrong, but sometimes those decisions, they just get a little trickier and they get harder to answer. And you find yourself overthinking because realistically, you've lost trust in yourself to make that decision. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think you should have great confidence and great boldness in yourself, but ultimately that's got to come from a source. That boldness, that confidence, that assuredness, that definiteness of you needs to come from somewhere. And mine comes from God. My confidence comes from God. My ability to learn, to think, to grow, to be guided in the right way, that's all coming from God. So when I get stuck on something, I realize I'm just not plugged into the source. God is my source. And when I'm plugged into him, Jesus makes it all clear, man. He makes it all clear for me. There's no contemplating. There's no indecisiveness. I feel like I'm learning that most of the time, these major decisions in my life, I know what needs to be done. I know what I should be doing. It's more about focusing on what I shouldn't be doing and not focusing and doing those things that I know I shouldn't be doing gives me that clarity to already appreciate what I'm already in. Because a lot of the times, things that you shouldn't be doing, whether it's addictions or, anything that you could relate that, you're like, what? It's not, I shouldn't be doing this right now. And when you're at that point and you're starting to do those things, I feel a lot of times that comes from an area of like, you know, you're not content. You're trying to get some type of form of satisfaction outside of what God has created for you. And you're going to a copyright, basically, you know, you're choosing the copyright, you're choosing the phony copy instead of, you know, what God has planned and mapped out for you, you know? And you know that it's a slippery slope. And I feel like in one way or another, we all deal with this type of feeling. So when it comes to making those tough decisions, I sit back and I think like, yo, am I doing things that I shouldn't be doing? And if I were to subtract those things that I shouldn't be doing, will I be in a better place? Will I have more clarity? Will I be able to look at my life with more gratitude, instead of being so, you know, not satisfied with my life? You know, most of us, we're blessed beyond belief, man. Like when you really look at how bad some people got it, and you're able to, you know, keep pushing forward and keep working and striving to be a better person, that's such a gift, man. You know, you got to understand, like, self-development is a gift. You know, in all ways or forms, we're able to develop ourselves. And that's a true gift from God. You know, I feel like there's, you know, somebody who's got it way worse than me. I don't got it bad, guys. By no means, I don't got it bad. But the days that I think I got it bad, someone's got it way worse than me. And they're not able to just easily self-develop. Imagine that. Could you imagine being in a place that you couldn't be the best that you could be simply on your environment or simply on your situation or maybe simply on your health? Could you imagine, bro? You know, me and my boy talked about this a long time ago and it was really great. He was like, yo, I don't know what I would do without the gym. And I felt him on that because, you know, that physical fitness, that aspect of bettering yourself with physical fitness, imagine if that was taken away from you for a health concern. Now, where are you at? You know, now what's the next thing that you're going to be grateful for? Because ultimately that's what it comes down to. What's that next thing that you're going to be grateful for? You know, we have so many things to be grateful for and it's so easy to just get attached to one of them. And when we find a little bit of it, you know, being out of whack, being not balanced, when we feel a little bit off, we feel that we need to start going to other sources outside of what God has put inside you already, which is his love, his desire, his faith, his passion, his strength, his boldness, his confidence. And we go for the copyright. And we go for the copyright, and then we rely on the copyright. And then over time, the copyright starts to make our lives even worse than if we were just not doing it in general and we were just thugging it out, you know? Imagine if you were just able to, you know, get through it. You know, when you're able to just get through it through gratitude, through consulting with God, you start to see a lot more clear, dropping off those things that you shouldn't be doing. Life becomes a lot more clear. And it's easier to see, and it's easier to make decisions, and it's much easier to be grateful for what you have. And when you're more grateful for what you have, it's easier to learn. It's hard to learn when you're not grateful. It's hard to learn when you're not content. It's hard to better yourself when you have those feelings of uneasement in your life because you're not going at it with a good mind. You know, imagine reading a book, but the whole time you're reading the book, trying to find a flaw in it, trying to prove it wrong. You're going to get nothing from that book. And it's the same thing in life. How are you going to go and do exercises, do new programs, new things that are going to expand your horizon and better your life with an attitude of being not grateful and an attitude of being, you know, uncontent with your life and not appreciating the fact that you're able to self-develop? It's not going to happen. And as I sit and I think about making major decisions without overthinking, I think first, consult with God and look at some things that you may need to put on the back burner for right now to free up your mind because your mind is working on overload. And when it gets a lighter load, it's able to see clearer. And that clarity gives a new light, shines a new light on what you should be grateful for. And when you have developed gratitude, it's much easier to self-develop and continue the cycle with developing your relationship with God, enjoying what he's given you, sticking through the trials and the tribulations, and you're going to be just fine. You're going to kill it in this life, man. With that formula, you can't lose, man. When God is for you, who could be against you?